It was a cold evening in the city of Ulmer. The sky was gray, and the wind made people wrap their coats tighter. Most walked fast, eyes down, not caring about anyone else. Inside a small diner at the corner of Main Street, a young waitress named Mira wiped tables. She worked long hours and earned just enough to pay rent and buy food. She never complained. She smiled at customers, even when they were rude. She believed that kindness was free, even if money was not. Mira lived alone in a small room above the diner. Her parents had passed away years ago, and she had no siblings. She didn't have many friends either, only old Mr. Roy, who ran the bakery next door and sometimes gave her leftover bread. That day, just before closing time, the door of the diner opened with a creak. Mira looked up and saw a man step inside. His coat was full of holes, and his shoes were torn. His hair was messy, and his face looked tired and dirty. Some customers stared. One couple left quickly. Another man whispered, "Why let beggars in here?" Mira ignored them. She walked to the man with a calm voice. "Hello, sir. Would you like something to eat?" She asked kindly. The man nodded slowly. "Just a cup of warm tea if you have it," he said. Mira smiled. "Of course, you can sit wherever you like." He sat in the corner booth, far from the others. Mira brought him a full cup of tea and placed a warm muffin next to it. "I didn't ask for food," he said. "It's free. You look like you could use it," Mira replied. He gave a small nod and began to eat slowly, as if he hadn't had food in days. Mira watched from the counter. Her manager walked up and frowned. "Why are you serving him?" "He can't pay," he whispered. "He's still a person," Mira said softly. "It's just one muffin." The manager shook his head and walked away. After 20 minutes, the man stood up and slowly walked toward the door. Mira rushed to him. "Wait," she said. "Do you need a jacket?" "I have an old one upstairs." The man smiled. "No, thank you. You've already done enough." Mira looked at him closely. There was something in his eyes, a sharpness, a calm strength, like he didn't really belong on the street. Before he left, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled paper. "If you ever feel truly stuck, go to this address. Show them this note. That's all I can say." Mira took it, confused. The paper had no name, just an address in the rich part of the city, and one line written in bold. "Kindness is the test. You passed." The man walked out into the cold night and disappeared. Mira stood there, holding the paper. She didn't know what it meant, but deep inside, something told her this wasn't the end of the story. Something big was coming. The next morning, Mira went back to work like normal. She didn't tell anyone about the strange man or the note. But every time she looked at it, her heart beat a little faster. What she didn't know was that the man she helped wasn't a beggar at all. He was one of the richest men in the galaxy. And he had just chosen her for something that would change her life forever. 2 days had passed since Mira met the strange man with torn shoes. She still thought about him every night. The paper with the address stayed hidden in her coat pocket. She had read it at least 20 times. Kindness is the test. You passed. She didn't understand what kind of test it was. Why her? Why now? On the 3rd day, the sky turned dark early. Rain fell slowly, tapping on the diner windows like soft fingers. Business was slow. Mira stood behind the counter, wiping the same cup again and again. Her thoughts were not on work. They were on the note. At last, when her shift ended, Mira made a choice. She climbed the stairs to her small room, changed into dry clothes, and took out the paper. The address led to a part of the city she had never visited. It was the rich zone. She had only seen it in news videos and from far away. Rooftops. Mira looked out her window at the rain. Then she took a deep breath and left. It took her nearly an hour by foot to reach the edge of the rich zone. As she stepped closer, the roads changed. No trash on the streets. No broken street lights. Trees lined the sidewalks. Big gates guarded. Large houses. She walked until she reached the number written on the paper, 1782. Rose Lane. It was a giant white house with black iron gates. The lights were on. A camera above the gate turned toward her as she stood in the rain. Before she could speak, the gate buzzed and opened slowly. Mira walked in, unsure of what to expect. The front door opened before she reached it. A tall man in a dark suit stood there. His face was calm, and he wore glasses. "You must be Mira," he said. She nodded, surprised. "How do you know my name?" "Please come in," he said without answering. Mira entered. The floor was made of shining wood. A big chandelier hung. From the ceiling, warm air filled the house. It smelled like roses and fresh books. The man led her to a quiet room filled with books and large chairs. She sat down carefully. "My name is Simon. I work for Mr. Orion," the man said. Mira's heart jumped. "Mr. Orion? Who's that?" Simon smiled. "The man you gave tea and a muffin to 3 nights ago." Mira's mouth fell open. Simon continued. "Mr. Orion is not just a rich man. He owns space companies, research labs, and secret projects. But more than that, he looks for people. Special people. Honest, kind, brave. He travels in disguise to find them." Mira felt dizzy. "But why?" "Me? I'm just a waitress." Simon nodded. "Yes, a waitress who gave without asking. Who shared warmth when others turned away," Mr. Orion noticed. Mira didn't know what to say. All she had done was offer tea and a muffin. Simon handed her a small card. It was black with gold letters. The Orion Project, Human First Initiative. "One chance, one choice. Mr. Orion wants to meet you. Not as a beggar, as himself. Tomorrow morning. Are you ready?" Simon asked. Mira held the card tightly. Her hands were shaking. She had nothing, no money, no power. But someone powerful had seen something in her. I'm ready," she said. Simon smiled gently. "Then everything is about to change." Outside, the rain had stopped. Inside, Mira's life had just begun a new chapter. And far away, Mr. Orion looked at a screen showing Mira's face. He whispered to himself, "She's the one." The next morning, Mira stood in front of the same gate at 1782 Rose Lane. She wore the cleanest clothes she had, simple but neat. Her heart was beating fast, and her hands were cold, but she walked with quiet strength. As the gate opened again, Simon was already waiting at the door. "Good morning, Mira," he said with a smile. "Mr. Orion is ready to see you." Mira followed him through the large hallway. Today, she saw things she hadn't noticed before: paintings of faraway planets, a glass box holding strange glowing stones, and a wall filled with photographs of rockets. Finally, they reached a wide room with glass walls that looked out over a peaceful garden. A man stood there, wearing a sharp blue suit. His hair was clean now, his face smooth and calm. But Mira recognized him instantly. You were the man in the diner," she said. He turned around and smiled. "Yes, I was. And you were the one who didn't turn me away." Mira looked at him with wide eyes. "So, you're Mr. Orion?" He nodded. "My full name is Dallin Orion. I'm the owner of Orion Systems. We build ships, research deep space, and search for life beyond Earth. But more than that, I look for people who still have kindness in their hearts." Mira stayed silent. It was hard to believe. Just a few days ago, she was wiping tables. Now she was standing in front of one of the richest and most powerful men in the galaxy. Orion pointed to a chair. "Please sit. I want to tell you something." She sat carefully, still unsure why she was there. "I've built many things," Orion said. "Machines, robots, rockets. But I've learned something. The best things in the universe aren't machines. They are people. Brave, good-hearted people." He looked straight at her. "You passed a test, Mira. A test I give few. Not with numbers or books, but with kindness. Most ignore me when I dress as a beggar. Some are rude. But you gave without asking anything back. That means something. Mira looked down. It was just tea and a muffin. Orion shook his head. No, it was more. It was heart. He stood up and walked to a cabinet. He opened it and brought out a slim tablet. I want to offer you something. A place in my project. Not as a servant, as a student, a team member. Someone we can train to work on real missions. Mira stared at him. Me? Work with space people? But I don't know anything. You'll learn, he said. We will teach you. We believe in training people who have the right heart first. Skills can come later. Mira didn't speak. She felt like she was dreaming. You'll live here, Orion said. You'll get food, clothes, and lessons. In time, you may even travel beyond this planet. Simon walked in with a folder. He placed it gently on the table. All the details are here, he said. If you say yes, we begin tomorrow. Mira touched the folder. She had never been given a chance like this. All her life, people saw her as a poor girl with no future. But now, someone saw something different. She took a deep breath and looked at Orion. I accept, she said, her voice steady. Orion smiled. Then welcome to the Orion Project. Outside, the sun had risen. Inside, a new light had entered Mira's life. As she looked out the glass walls into the garden, she didn't feel like a waitress anymore. She felt like something more. Something greater was waiting. Mira woke up in a soft bed with white sheets and a big window beside her. The sunlight came in gently. Birds were singing in the garden outside. It was her first morning in the Orion house, and everything felt new. She had never slept in such a room before. The air smelled clean, and the silence felt peaceful. A soft knock came at the door. Mira? It was Simon's voice. Your training begins in 30 minutes. Please come downstairs. I'll be ready. She replied quickly. She got dressed in the new clothes they had given her. Simple gray suit with the Orion Project logo on the front. It fit perfectly. She looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. I'm really here, she whispered. Downstairs. Simon was waiting with a tablet in his hand. Good morning, he said. Today, you will begin basic lessons. The first one is about observation. Observation? Mira asked. Yes, Simon replied. Seeing things others miss. Paying attention. Mr. Orion believes that kindness is linked with awareness. People who care often notice more. Simon led her to a wide hallway filled with pictures, maps, and models of strange machines. Mira looked around amazed. There are many kinds of intelligence, Mira, Simon said. Some people are fast with numbers. Others are strong with memory. But people like you, those who feel, have a different kind of intelligence. You see with the heart. Mira listened closely. She had never heard anyone speak like that before. Her first task was simple. She was taken to a room with many objects. Books, tools, pictures, and even alien stones from other planets. Simon gave her a tablet with questions. Which object was moved? What color changed in the second picture? How many tools were silver, not black? She went slowly, thinking hard. After 15 minutes, she finished and handed the tablet back. Simon looked at her answers and smiled. Very good. You noticed details most people miss. Mira felt proud. It was like a game. Yes, Simon said, but it trains your mind to see clearly. That's how leaders are made. Later, Mr. Orion came to check on her. How is she doing? He asked Simon. She's learning fast, Simon replied. Very fast. Orion looked at Mira. Do you like it here? Mira nodded. I do. It's strange, but I feel like I belong. That's because you do, Orion said. The Orion Project is not just about machines. It's about building a better future. We believe people like you can help shape it. He placed a small card on the table in front of her. It had a quote written on it. "Even stars are born in darkness." Mira read it, then looked up. "Is that true?" Orion nodded. "Yes, and so are heroes." That evening, Mira sat in the garden, thinking about the day. She had learned about colors, patterns, and focus. But more than that, she had learned something about herself. She wasn't just a waitress anymore. She was becoming something else, not someone else. The stars above her seemed brighter than before. Somewhere far beyond those stars, adventures were waiting. And Mira had just taken her first real step toward them. 1 week had passed since Mira joined the Orion project. Each day felt like a new world. She studied observation, communication, and basic science. She also learned about space, how rockets work, how planets move, and how humans might one day live on other worlds. She worked hard, and her teachers noticed. Mira didn't have a strong background, but she had focus, heart, and deep curiosity. Mr. Orion visited her often, always watching her progress silently. One morning, after breakfast, Simon gave her a new schedule. "You're going to the launch field today," he said. Mira blinked. "Launch field? For rockets?" Simon nodded. "You won't fly into space yet, but you'll sit in a test ship. You'll feel how it moves. You'll learn how pilots train." Mira's heart raced with excitement. "I've never even been inside." "A plane," Simon smiled. "Then this will be your first flight." The Orion launch field was outside the city, hidden behind hills and forests. It was a wide, flat area filled with silver buildings, large towers, and quiet machines that hummed like wind. As Mira stepped out of the car, she saw a small spaceship resting on a platform. It wasn't a full space shuttle, just a training craft, but it still looked powerful. "This is Model S9, said a woman in a blue suit. "It's used for zero-gravity training. You'll ride with me today." The woman introduced herself as Pilot Riva. She was calm, smart, and had flown more than 50 missions into space. Inside the ship, Mira was helped into a seat. Straps held her tightly. Lights blinked around her. She felt nervous but also thrilled. Engine started with a deep hum. Mira grabbed the seat arms. "Ready?" Riva asked. "Ready," Mira said, her voice shaking. The ship lifted slowly. Then it rushed forward, shooting into the sky like a bird. Mira felt pushed back into her seat. Her heart pounded. The ship rose higher and higher. Clouds passed by. Then, suddenly everything became light. Her arms floated, her hair lifted. "This is near zero gravity," Riva explained. "In space, your body feels almost weightless. You must learn to stay calm and move slowly." Mira reached out her hand. It moved gently, like underwater. She laughed softly, amazed by the feeling. Riva guided her through basic moves, how to breathe slowly, how to float from one side of the ship to the other. "You're doing well," Riva said. "I never imagined this in my life," Mira replied. After 30 minutes, the ship returned and landed softly. Mira stepped out with help. Her legs felt weak, but her eyes were full of light. Back at the center, Mr. Orion met her. "How was your first flight?" he asked. Mira smiled. "It was like dreaming." "While awake," Orion nodded. "And now you know. The sky is not the limit. It's only the beginning." They walked along the garden path in silence for a moment. Then Orion turned to her. "Mira, I want to ask you something important." "Yes, sir? There is a special project. Very few know about it. We are training a team to visit a new base on the moon, a human base. We need people who are strong in spirit, not just in skill." He looked at her carefully. "Would you like to try for that team?" Mira stopped walking. Her heart beat fast. She didn't know everything about space. She still had much to learn. But inside her, something whispered, "Say yes." "I would be honored," she said. Orion smiled. "Good. Then training starts tomorrow." That night, Mira stood outside. looked up at the sky. The moon hung above, quiet and silver. A week ago, she was serving tea in a small diner. Now, she was preparing for the stars, and she knew her life had changed forever. The next morning, Mira woke up before sunrise. She felt nervous but excited. It was her first day of training for the moon mission, something she never dreamed would be part of her life. She dressed in the Orion Project uniform and walked down to the training center. The air was fresh and birds sang quietly as the sun began to rise. Inside the training hall, a group of people were already waiting. There were 7 of them. Some looked strong and serious, others calm and quiet. Mira stood among them, unsure if she belonged. A voice echoed through the hall. "Good morning, team." It was Mr. Orion. He stepped forward with Simon beside him. "You are here because you have something special inside you," Orion said. "You are not perfect. You don't need to be. What matters is your heart, your focus, and your teamwork. You are training for our most important test, a journey to the human base on the moon." The group stayed silent, listening carefully. "This mission is not for fame or money," Orion continued. "It's for the future of mankind. We're building something bigger than all of us." Simon stepped up next. "Today we begin with basic strength and balance training. Then we move to oxygen control, spacesuits, and mental focus exercises." The team nodded. Mira felt nervous again, but she stood tall. The physical training was tough. Mira had to run, lift weights, and practice balance while wearing a heavy backpack. She fell twice, but she stood up both times. Her legs ached, her hands shook, but she didn't stop. "You're doing well," said Zane, one of the team members, offering her water. He was tall and calm, with a kind face. "Thanks," Mira said, smiling. "I've never done anything like this." "None of us have," Zane replied. "But we're all here to learn." Later in the day, the team moved to the oxygen chamber. They had to wear light training helmets and control their breathing. A screen showed how steady their breathing was. "This will help you stay calm during panic," Simon explained. "In space, fear is your enemy." Mira sat inside the chamber and closed her eyes. She imagined herself floating above Earth. She thought of the people back home, those who struggled, who were never seen. She wanted to be their voice. In the evening, the team gathered in a circle. They shared their names and reasons for joining. Zane was once a farmer. Lena had fixed old machines in a poor town. Tariq was a schoolteacher who dreamed of the stars. Each story was full of struggle. When it was Mira's turn, she said softly, "I was a waitress. I served tea and food to people who didn't even look at me. One day, a man came in, dressed in torn clothes. I gave him tea and a muffin. That moment changed everything." The group listened with quiet respect. "Now I want to prove," she continued, "that kindness matters. That anyone can rise, no matter where they come from." The room was silent for a moment. Then Zane nodded. "That's why you'll make it," he said. Mr. Orion watched from a distance. He turned to Simon. "She's growing faster than I thought." Simon nodded. "She has the heart of a leader." Orion looked up at the stars outside the window. "The mission will not be easy. But with her, I believe we'll succeed." That night, Mira stood alone on the rooftop of the training building. The stars looked brighter than ever. The moon was full, glowing like a silver gate in the sky. She whispered to herself, "I'm not afraid." And deep inside she knew this was more than a mission. This was her purpose. Mira's days were now full of training, learning, and teamwork. Her body grew stronger, and her mind became sharper. She had learned to control her breathing, move in zero gravity, and fix small machines. But more than anything, she had learned how to trust her team. The moon mission was only 2 weeks away. Mr. Orion met with the team that morning. "You are doing well," he said. "Your bodies are ready. Your minds are ready. Now we must test your spirit." Everyone looked at each other, unsure of what he meant. "There's one more test before you are allowed on the mission," he explained. "This test will not be about strength or knowledge. It will be about leadership, patience, and unity." Simon stepped forward with a serious look. "We are going to simulate a space emergency. One of you will lead the team. We will not tell you who until it begins." Mira felt her heart beat faster. She was excited, but also nervous. That night, Mira couldn't sleep well. Her thoughts kept returning to her first day in the diner, when Mr. Orion came in as a beggar. She had no idea that simple act of kindness would bring her here. The next morning, the simulation began. The team entered a special training ship built exactly like the real one. Everything inside looked real: seats, panels, lights, and even a small window showing stars. They all strapped in and waited for instructions. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a red warning flashed across the screen. "Oxygen leak detected. Cabin pressure dropping." An alarm rang. Smoke filled the corner of the room. It wasn't real, but it looked and felt like it. Then a voice came through the speaker. "Mira, you are now the team leader. Take control." Everyone turned to her. In surprise, Mira froze for 1 second. Then she stood up. "Zane, check the oxygen tanks in the back," she said quickly. "Lena, shut down the left panel system. Tariq, report our pressure levels every 10 seconds. Her voice was steady, clear, confident. The team moved fast, following her lead. "I need calm breathing from all of you," Mira added. "No panic. We trained for this." More warning lights blinked, and fake fire appeared on one side. Mira used a safety tool to shut down that system. She remembered her training. She used everything she had learned over the past few weeks. "Simon," she said through the speaker, "we've controlled the leak. Please confirm." The alarm stopped. A green light appeared above them. The fake smoke vanished. Then Simon's voice returned. "Simulation complete. Myra, you passed." Later that day, the team gathered in the meeting room. Simon looked at Myra. "You stayed calm. You gave orders clearly. You trusted your team. That is real leadership." Mr. Orion nodded. "The others followed because they believed in you. That is the sign of a true captain." Zane smiled. "I'm glad it was you, Mira. You led us like someone who's done it before." Mira blushed slightly but smiled too. "I just did what I thought was right." Orion looked at the whole team. "You are ready. In 5 days you launch." That evening, Mira walked in the garden alone. Flowers moved gently in the wind, and the moon was bright above her. She sat on a bench, thinking quietly. Simon came and sat beside her. "You've come a long way," he said. "I still feel like the girl from the diner sometimes," Mira admitted. Simon smiled. "That girl is the reason you're here. Never forget who you were, but also believe in who you're becoming." Mira nodded slowly. She had no fancy education, no rich family, no great title, but she had something more powerful: kindness, courage, purpose, and soon she would take all of that to the moon.